to wake up like this.
We actually had way too many roosters for a minute because we bought a bunch online and they weren't supposed to be roosters, but they ended up being roosters. And oh my gosh, we ended up harvesting so many. Hi. Lady. Oh, let me give you a hug.
I know, I missed you.
I know. All right.
I'm Michael.
Hi, Michael. Nice to meet you. So what is this? What are you doing?
So I haven't told you, I'm doing this class online, an agroecology type of class.
Right. Urban agroecology.
Oh,
And
cool.
and we've never had anybody that had animals who does animal husbandry. So she got the whole
very
farm
cool.
thing.
Yeah. That's exciting. I love your shirt. Yes, that is Mama.
So that's a water tank that feeds the whole system.
Is that the one?
One of them.
Yeah. So yes. Okay. So let me just figure out how to do this real quick. Make sure that I can be on. So it says got it. So am I gonna hold this?
No, I'll film it and you walk around it. It'll be like so I'm interviewing.
Okay. So then I'll probably should turn this around, huh?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So you go ahead and hold this. Okay. Sorry.
No,
thank you. I thought maybe it would be more.
Oops. I just.
Confusing. Got it.
Uh-oh.
Do you want my husband at all?
No, if he's busy, I'm good.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna do it because it's like a little too
big
for the holder, or it won't grip the case.
Maybe it's because the pop socket thing is there.
Oh, yeah, that's better. I don't know if that'll balance, but let's see. It's trying to balance.
Heavy.
It's
not centered, huh?
Can we take the case off?
Take whatever. This is permanent. Yeah, the actual case. Good idea. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why are you upside down?
Uh-oh.
Misty.
Uh-huh.
I got your memo and I just took care of it right now.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Exactly. Everything should be a go.
So are you recording now, Mike?
Yeah. Recording's been on for about 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay, where do you want to start?
Okay, let's go up here. My husband's up here. And then we can just leave stuff here.
In my tripod.
Okay.
So, just so you know, as people populate, I was going to give us another 5 minutes or so before we get going.
Okay.
So you
we
guys
can just kind of walk around. I won't talk much. We'll just kind of walk around.
I'll cue you when I think, if it doesn't populate more in 5 to 7 minutes, we'll start anyway. Because for people who can't come in, they can still get the recording.
Okay.
So where does all the action take place?
So I don't know if you want, I can just give you this.
Yeah.
You don't need to see like the tour of the classrooms and stuff
No.
so much. That's not super important. So I'll show you and the things like that.
Hey, Misty, your video's off.
You can't see her?
No.
No.
Oh, video's on. Oh, maybe it's my gimbal's taking over. Hold on.
I can
There we
see
go.
it now.
You can see now?
Yep.
I didn't do anything. Okay.
I'm hearing Michael's voice. So there's another
Yeah,
to
both
add to
Michaels are on.
the Michaels. There's actually another Michael who is the permaculture specialist. His name is Michael too.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
So yeah, feel free to chime in like you did. Okay.
Will do.
So funny. And then my husband's name's Mike.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Confusing today.
This is like,
But that's all right.
that's four of us.
Poor Michael. Well, usually I call him, you guys go by Mike,
Right.
and then my husband usually is Michael, and then the other Michael goes by Michael too. So at least we can kind of, two Michaels and two Mikes.
That was my name when I was in trouble. That was
Yeah,
Michael.
tell me about it. It's still my name when I'm in trouble.
So familiar. Okay, so we started off. This building was gone when we first moved here. It was just like a shed, and so my husband actually built all of this. Hold on. On his own, and we started a school and needed some classrooms. So we decided we're going to go ahead and build a barn. So this was supposed to be our barn, but it's actually,
That's nice.
It's a very nice barn. We can't even call it barn now because it just doesn't fit that criteria, I feel like, anymore, that description. So
Hey, Misty, I have a question about the school. Is the school only for your kids, or do you have other kids that attend?
Well, currently we don't offer it, but when we were offering it, I had my first year, over 25 kids in the community, the homeschool community.
Cool.
And our second year, that was per week. And then our second year, we actually had over 90 children,
Oh, wow. Okay.
including my kids, per week. Because I had 3 separate days. So the first year, I think I had 2 days a week. And then the second year I had 3 days a week with additional, like a couple additional classes.
Cool.
Because it's really popular. There's nothing out here like this for, I called it a farming immersion program.
Uh-huh.
And so we would like make meals and have lunch together. Everybody would sit and eat together. And then we would do ranch tours together. And then we would do a 4-H project. Maddox, please don't do that. So I based it off of the 4-H curriculum. And I had a bunch of teachers. The first year it was just me and another gal. And then the second year I had like over 7 employees. So it got to be pretty crazy. And then the third year, the last half of the second year was COVID.
Right.
So we had to finish on Zoom, which was, I was telling Mike, it was kind of insane to do. It was really challenging to do a Zoom class that was an outdoor school for young children, particularly the preschool age children,
That's right.
So that was challenging, but we made it through. So he built this the first year. So we didn't get to use this the first year, but the second year we used it. The 2 units down here are just classrooms, and which eventually we ended up getting, we had woofers, which are volunteers. And so we've even had woofers stay here, but there's no bathroom or shower or kitchen. There's like a little kitchenette, but they're basically just classrooms. This upper unit is more of a, we could use that more of a room.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been a huge blessing, but now I have it and I'm like, what do we do with it? Because we've decided to take a little break. we're expecting our 8th child, last
Oh,
child.
wow.
Yeah.
What is the
So I just thought, you know, there's just so much going on with COVID and with all the teachers that I had before. Everybody's kind of been doing their own thing now. So it would be a lot of energy to bring everybody back. And I mean, it's worth it. I think in a couple years I'll start back again. But right now I'm focusing on homesteading and maybe offering workshops that people can come, or like field trips like this for the community instead of just like the children, the homeschool children. Next year I'll be having classes just for my own children and a couple of their friends and stuff. So that's pretty much, yeah.
Mike, before we go on, could you make Misty a co-host so I could spotlight her?
Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
So I didn't know, I didn't know if you wanted to look at them or anything. Kind of messy, but how much time do we have until where are we at?
Probably like 5 minutes. I don't see many people on yet.
Yeah, pretty much. So we still let's give it another 5 minutes, and then we'll just get going regardless.
Right, and then
I'm
we'll
gonna
just
assign you co-host.
I'll just show you this room over here. We just use it as a storage right now. So just a storage room, but
And this was a classroom?
yeah, this was a classroom. I still have all the supplies and desks and tables and chairs, and oh man, I have so much stuff. And then Michael, we call him Soil Michael, the permaculture guy on there. He was our ranch manager for a long time. He still has stuff here that he kind of stores here for he makes, what is it, Michael? The
extracts and teas.
Extracts, and yeah, he does a lot of those things still here.
Oh, wow.
So
That was one of our classes last year. So at Ashby Gardens.
Okay.
You know,
So this is a mess of a room, but just close your eyes. But anyway, we have a bunch of supplies. My kids come in here and make this their personal area. But anyway, a lot of supplies. We had a full
it's cool in here.
It's nice and cool. Yeah, he insulated it really nicely. We would have a whole production, you know, they had cups and plates, and they make the meal, and then they'd clean up and do the dishes, and it's really fun for the preschoolers because they don't get a lot of that opportunity to do at home. So this one is the biggest room. Really nice. And again,
hey Max.
But he's working on electrical and things like that. So this is a room where woofers have stayed more, but again, we've just had a little porta potty type of thing because there's no bathroom. But we're just working on finishing it. A lot of the stuff hasn't gotten finished. So yeah, it's a nice room. We thought if we had somebody from Mesa come eventually, we would have him here. But now we're thinking more if it would be best across the street. And we'll show you. I'll show you across the street. So yeah, our property basically, I'll show you the parameters if you want to come out. I'm going to shut this door. Do you want to go on like a tour of, I don't know how far we want to go, but I can kind of take you on the property tour. So it's basically, this is our neighbors and our fence line. So it goes up, goes all the way around up to there's a hill and a big tree up there, and then it circles around and goes across the street. So it's 5 acres.
5 acres total?
5 acres total, yeah. We have a really nice view. If you walk up this hill, you can see more the property. We have like our bathroom in here and shower for the classroom for the kids, and we have an additional room, a classroom in that room. So let's see. So let's go up here.
Kind of scary. I actually like our
maybe walk up here and I can kind of tell you some of the struggles that we have with this hillside. It's been nice to have property. It's been challenging to have it all be on a hill.
Misty, can you hear me? Why don't when you get on the hill where you want to start talking about challenges, we'll officially start class.
Okay.
Tell me whenever you're ready.
You ready to hike? A little bit.
I'm having my challenges right now.
Whenever you guys are ready and get set up, we'll start.
Take a deep breath.
Is that emergency water?
Yeah. Do you need some water, actually? Do you have some?
I had some in the car. I love it in the car.
Hey, Lila, would you bring me some water bottles up here? They're in the car in the trunk. Why?
Because Deacon Jones is about to pass out.
We need them. It's an emergency. You can bring 2, okay? Thank you. The nice thing about having so many, at least one of them. Huh? Well, because we're really thirsty.
She's 7, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, the
really
questions. The question.
She's got a lot of questions. Yeah, 2. Thank you. Make sure you shut the door so the cats don't go in. Cats go in my car and they die.
Oh,
it's too
wow.
hot in there. They like to hang out in there, but it's fine in the winter. During the summer, you got problems.
Do you guys have horses too?
We don't have horses. The neighbors do, though.
Oh, okay.
So it's like we have horses. It's nice because we can pet them and see them, but we don't have to care for them. So it's very nice.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you. That was very nice. Okay. Right here. I opened this one for you.
Thank you.
Got it?
Yeah, I got it. Oh.
All right. So we'll just go. We don't have to go all the way up, but I'll show you kind of some of the. Although we do have quite a ways. We have another water tank up there that it's been kind of abandoned. So I'll show you that, but kind of a ways. But anyway, this is good enough to kind of see the gist of some of it.
This about where you want to start, Misty?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think?
So welcome everybody. For those of you that are just tuning in, for those of you that will be watching this on video, this is our CFFJ Mesa workshop. We know that we will be having students from both the CSUN cohort, the MRCD cohort, as well as our own CFFJ cohort. We are in the greater Concord area with Misty Molstein on her farm ranch homestead. And today we're going to be talking specifically about animal husbandry and what Missy's benefits and challenges have been in this endeavor. And so, Misty, thank you, welcome. How are you? And we appreciate you for being here. We know you have Michael with you, your permaculture specialist, so he can be there to answer questions as well. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you and you can begin your tour.
Okay. Hello. Okay, so I thought we would start we're not at the top the tippy top, but we're at kind of the mid-level, so you could kind of see what we have done over here. We have 5 acres, and it's kind of an interesting property because its majority of it is all steep slopes, and then it actually crosses over across the street. So we've got a lot of property, but it's not a lot to work on because some of the challenges that we've had, I'll just say, is getting water to this area. So for instance, we would love, this is our grazing pasture for right now for our goats. We used to have a dairy cow, and we had donkeys, and we've had sheep and goats grazing. We've had the neighbors' horses will graze, but there's no irrigation. So, and it's really challenging to get the irrigation up here. So we don't have water. So once it's gone, you know, all the green is just pretty much gone up here. And it's such a steep slope that it's pretty dangerous to try to install much. So anyway, so that's one of the challenges, but we've worked through it. And so as you can see, we've got down here, we did make plans. Michael, our permaculture specialist, has designed plans for us. This is our food forest over here. We have a kitchen garden down there, and we have a lower garden across the street that all the plans were drawn up for, and we've planted trees and perennials and annuals, just lots of things. So this is technically our first year for our food forest, our third year for our kitchen garden, and our second year for our lower garden. So just keep that in mind whenever we go down and look at the gardens.
Quick question, just for folks as they're tuning in. For your food forest, is it primarily to feed your family, or are you eventually looking at your food forest to be a for-profit or nonprofit farm entity where you're taking it to farmers markets or to market in general?
Yeah, so obviously our first plan is for enough for us, but then we also have we have lots and lots of trees. The plan is we are a nonprofit also, and we also would love to, any excess, give to volunteers if we have even more. We were going to start maybe a little market for volunteers and people in the community. And then if we had more than, you know, excess, then we would definitely do for, we could bring to markets or things like that. So it really just depends on how much we produce. But the plan is, it's always been to share with the community. That's pretty much why we decided to buy the property, which is why when we first started homeschooling here, we just opened it up immediately and started sharing with people in the community, and they loved it, which is why we became so popular, because we're just so willing to share, and it's just a lot more fun when you can share it and when people can work together. So yeah, that's the plan. But we plan on probably planting some more trees. Definitely. There's some more coming. So, because right now, you know, it's probably going to take a couple years still for us to really produce anything worth even using. You know, we're just kind of waiting for the soil to get better. So that was kind of a long-winded answer.
No, I think that's really important. Let me ask you this. You were talking about the soil getting better. Are you amending soil, with organic matter, or are you just trying to wait for it to happen naturally through seasonality? What has been the strategy for your soil improvement?
Well, we do a variety of things. One is obviously we're just waiting. You know, there's the waiting. We put a lot of, like Michael, he does a lot of these, he has done several of the, I don't know why I can never forget or never remember what they're called. The spray or the
extracts and the teas.
The extracts and the teas. Yes.
Okay.
We also put a lot of mulch down. Michael has brought, we've gotten mulch that has the fungi, the mushroom caps. He's gone and gotten that for mulching. Hi. We try to, we don't do any tilling. We do have a worm compost, so we do a lot of worm castings. It's all organic, so we don't use any pesticides or anything like that. We've been trying to figure out how to work with the water, because water has been a huge issue. Here, my husband has to get water from his work, which is a wastewater treatment facility. So we use a lot of the wastewater, but we found that the wastewater has like 5 times the salinity of regular water. So there's just a lot of salt. So we're trying to work on the microorganisms taking off and killing, not so that all the good organisms are there rather than the bad, but the problem is the salinity is killing off the good ones. And so we're just having this challenge. So there's a process. So we're definitely waiting for nature to kind of take its course, but then it's hard because you've got things that are counter to what should be happening. So we're trying to still take tests, like Michael will do soil tests and see where we're at and say, okay, and he'll make suggestions on maybe what we should do with the soil. Recently, we've been having a major issue with pests, roly-polies and the pincher bugs, the earwigs, I guess. Those are like huge the past year, and they're just eating all the roots of everything. And so we do we've been using like soy sauce and like a combination of soy sauce and oil in these little bowls, and then it kind of draws them near.
Okay.
Or we'll use neem oil. I mean, we're trying to let it be, but these pests are just out of control. So we're doing what we can. So a lot of combination of things.
Okay.
So, okay. All right.
It's also really difficult because all of the plants on the property are like really, really stressed because it's just extreme conditions there with the wind that comes in the valley. Like it's a perfect like little valley where all the wind can just pour through, and that stresses out the plants. It's also extreme heat. And as she was saying, the water quality also stresses out the plants because it's either we've got like salinity or we have chlorinated and chloramine water. So it's really, really difficult to like have healthy plants to be able to drive away the pests.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll walk down this way.
What is this?
Okay, so this is one of the, I don't know what so it goes around in a circle. So maybe you can go around here. As you can see, we've made little paths. So this is an area we're still going to be planting some trees, but we've tried to do like some paths. And what they've done is they've dug kind of like, a foot trench?
Yeah, I'd say 1 foot to 2 feet down.
And put mulch on top so that it can kind of be like a sponge and capture the water whenever it rains. Of course, there has to be rain for it to capture the water. Sure. There just has not been rain. So we're going to be planting some trees there. So we've got a couple different tiers. So this one still needs some trees. We've got this one. And Michael, you'll have to help me. I think this one's a cherry tree. There's a variety of different trees.
Jack's still on it.
Oh.
The bottom one's the rootstock, the top one's the actual plant. So
yeah, cherry. I don't know if you want me to tell you all the varieties, but we've got I don't know, how many trees do we have?
Probably 30 or 40 trees.
Okay, so yeah, about 30 or 40. This is my husband, Michael.
Hi.
Michael.
So I do have to add, he also has a full-time job. So a lot of people imagine, most people that have farms, like they do it full-time, and we do not. So, which is probably why we don't have as much attention and time to as much as we'd like on the farm. So we do what we can. But so there's a row here. We've added some annuals, but as you can see, they're not completely dead. Believe it or not, there's still life in some of these, and they're waiting for the rain to come back. We've got a lot of perennials down here: asparagus, nasturtium, mixed with some annuals. I think we've got some squash over there. So we try to mix it up. And let's see. And then we've got
you guys use the nasturtium flowers in salads or
yeah, we do. They're really good. I'm used to it. I really enjoy the flavor. I made it for a salad for my in-laws a couple months ago, and they're like, I just taste flowers. Like, I'm like, it's so peppery. So yeah, you have to it's an acquired taste. So yeah, we use that, and then we've got the tree collards that we'll use.
Somebody's calling you, I think.
Oh, it's okay. Just ignore. Okay.
Yeah, I asked you that, Misty, because I years ago I made that mistake for my wife, who actually is an urban gardener. But I made her a salad with some nasturtium. She wasn't too thrilled about it. So
it's a lot of pepper. You have to combine it perfectly with, there's a good balance that's necessary. I enjoy it though. I like to put it on the relish platter. You know. So, for holidays, you can do a mixture of, cucumbers, and then I'll have celery, and then that's kind of the spice that we'll add in with some tomatoes and so you just got to do it a particular way. So here's another row, which you guys saw. We've got a banana called ice cream banana tree. That's Michael's, our soil Michael. He really wanted us to get this tree, and so far it looks like it's doing pretty good.
It's coming back. Yeah. Nice.
It's coming back. Yeah.
Oh man, I thought it was dead.
It's alive. And then we have all these type of things that are for what is it? What are these called again, Michael?
Is that the comfrey?
Comfrey, yeah. So we had grown a bunch of comfrey so that we could feed them to the animals, but they just haven't taken over as much as they will eventually. But so that's the plan, is to grow some stuff for treats for the animals.
They're also a good utility plant, so they're good for like composting. They're good for chop and drop to add organic matter to the soil, things like that. They're also medicinal.
So let me ask you a couple of things about that. So I think it's great that you're also growing as we get ready to get into the animal husbandry part of this. This is great. But Michael, you were talking about the chop and drop. So, it's one of these things that's just it's a good nitrogen-based plant that you don't have to worry about. I know some things people say that are chop and drop, but they're really susceptible, to weeds and other things that can, infest your compost pile. But you think it's really good, just like for organic matter right on the ground?
Yeah. So first off, comfrey isn't high nitrogen.
Okay.
Yeah, but it has deep tap roots and deep roots, so it pulls up, minerals and other types of nutrients from like deep down below. And so by chopping and dropping, you're bringing those minerals up to the surface area, and then it gets broken down, and so it can be in the more like horizon of like your soil.
Okay.
And as far as bugs go, I mean, like all that mulch you're looking at right now on the property, like that's where all the like earwigs and like, all the roly-polies are coming from. So there is an aspect of like of having mulch that does kind of bring in bugs, but at the same time it depends. Like, so the wood chips is like dead matter. I feel like if you have like the live stuff, what's nice about the live stuff is it kind of also is easy food to draw the like insects to instead of them going after your plants.
The plants. Okay.
Yep.
Very, very, very helpful. Very helpful.
So I'll just show this quickly. We just built this a little, I want to call it a pergola. It's not, what's this called again? A gazebo. And this is, so we have well water, and the idea was to use as much space as we could up here. And obviously we couldn't use this space because the water was stored. And so they decided to build a gazebo above it so that we could use it eventually for classes or for just for anything really. So that was a nice little idea. I don't know whose idea. Was that yours or Michael's? That was Michael's. Soil Michael.
Yeah, because it's also you know, creates good shade for the tank, so it doesn't like get hit so hard by the sun. And like permaculture, it's like, you know, we really try to turn things like their problems into solutions. So, you know, instead of there being a big eyesore there, now you have like a nice feature.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a great idea. So we've just got, I'll quickly go over some other just little things, but that was also, he designed all this and designed the plants that would go in it as well. But we've got collard greens, and you've got the artichoke, which I let go to seed or to flower. I'm kind of experimenting. I want to see how we can get seeds for a lot of these things, because I'm still new with learning how to garden and how to get seeds. So I feel like as long as the soil is doing well, we had such an earwig problem this year that honestly, when I had harvested one of these, it was so full of earwigs that I thought I'm just going to leave it and let it flower. It's a really pretty flower. So we have other trees, some lavender, and we've got
the Egyptian walking onions if you can.
Which one is it?
Is it this one?
This one? No.
It's the one that it's hard to, so it's a little pixelated, so but it does look like it's that one, because what they do is they put up these flowers that are like the top sets, and they get really heavy. You can use the top sets and then you can plant them and get new plants, but they just get really heavy and then they fall over and then they plant themselves, and that's why they're called Egyptian walking onions. So they're a perennial onion, and you can use them either like green onions or the bulbs that are on top. You can also use those kind of like you would maybe shallots or something, and you can also harvest the bulbs. So they're like such a like prolific grower. They're great in a permaculture system. Super fun.
Okay, so we'll walk down this way. Thanks, Michael. Into our kitchen garden. You can hang on.
I was a climber as a kid, so I'm not afraid of.
There you go. This dirt is so dry. I was just hanging on to this thing.
Okay, yeah, it's getting steep here.
Looks like we got some blueberries. Okay, so this is our kitchen garden. And pineapple guava. And we've got blueberries. We had a really bad aphid issue. We had a bunch of pretty nasturtium growing along here, but what happened is I cut this, I think, was chard. I cut down the chard, and it was because it was filled with aphids, and it was really because we didn't harvest it. That's the other issue that we have, is the time to harvest. Sometimes it's just impossible. So I didn't harvest it. The aphids took over, and then once I cut this down, the aphids jumped onto the nasturtium and ate all the nasturtium off of the hillside. So slowly it's coming back. You can see a little green over there, but yeah, we've had a big pest problem this year.
Do you and Michael, do you all have a plan specifically for addressing aphids? I know you you talked about the earwigs and the roly-polies. But I know, a lot of our students often, if they're engaged, the question of aphids comes up. We've done some classes on certain biological controls, particularly about wasps, parasitic wasps in particular. Are there methods or strategies that you use, or
Yeah,
how do you combat them?
We have a machine that does the it puts out the, what is it called, Michael? The diatomaceous earth. That actually was working. You just have to do it regularly. So the problem is putting the diatomaceous earth on regularly, and it's like this gun that kind of blasts all the plants. That has helped tremendously, and I attribute the growth back to the diatomaceous earth, because we kind of it's just all about being on top of it. That's my own perspective. What do you think, Michael?
I mean, I'm not like for diatomaceous earth myself.
Okay.
But that's because, like, I'm looking to start from first, your water has to be fully clean, and then you have to build the biology. If you get the biology there and you apply compost teas and extracts, but compost teas primarily to like the plant leaf surface, and it has to be compost tea that is like fully complete, so it has all the right like numbers of fungi, bacteria, protozoa, nematodes. All that stuff has to be in there, and it has to be complete. If you do that and you apply that to the leaf structure and you do it, a couple times a year, then you should be able to like mitigate those problems, because the plants are strong. Like, the aphids happen in a situation where the plants are stressed out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is there's it's high stress there. It's just really high.
Yeah, it is. And part of it is the lack of harvesting. I really think that stresses the plants out. If you're not using them, they're going to be attacked by something else that's going to use them. So sometimes, I mean, I've noticed that with like our chard and things, that they'll go to seed and then they're just kind of prey sometimes to the predators. This is the longevity spinach. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the number one thing that well, that looks really good, actually.
I know, right?
The number one thing that I would say is most important, especially if people are using like their municipal water at their house for their little gardens, is to get a inline water filter for their hose. And I have a friend who has a company called Boogie Brew, and he sells the filters. They're Boogie Blue filters is what they're called, and they're like $50 to $60, and they'll last at least a season or two.
Is that what that is?
This is the longevity spinach.
No, I mean the filters.
So we do have a reverse osmosis that my husband's going to be connecting to the very top tank. We didn't go over the tanks up there. If we can walk up again, but if you want, do you want to walk up and around?
Sure.
Okay, we'll go one more time. So Michael had suggested us get a reverse osmosis. We do have it. We just have to hook it up. And the blessing about the fact that our property is on the hillside is we can gravity feed all the way down across the street. So if we get the reverse osmosis tank set up and our water up here, it can gravity feed everything, including the animals. So that's what we're kind of working on right now. The only hiccup with the reverse osmosis is it does use more water. So, but the idea is if the plants are doing well, they won't need as much water. And so it kind of will balance each other out. So we'll go up there real quick. So yeah, it's a 2,500 gallon tank. that. And then this is the clean tank that is going to be reverse osmosis. So basically he's going to fill this. This is already being used. He has some irrigation, some piping that goes down. He has a big pump. So what he does is he connects the pump to the water tank. We'll go down and see his truck. But it basically feeds it up here, stores all the water in here, and then the reverse osmosis cleans it out, puts it in this smaller tank, and then it just gravity feeds. And I believe we're going to get another tank up here. But these trees we just planted last fall, and they're already fruiting, which is really good news.
We planted them in the spring, I think, yeah.
Was it last spring?
Well, like even like it was like this year, I want to say probably like March. No, maybe it was like, yeah, like it was around maybe, I guess it was winter. It was like January, February, somewhere right around there.
These guys, that's right. Okay, but the other trees we planted at the end of summer, I thought, like.
Those ones down below?
No, maybe you're right, huh?
We did it in about a month period. We did that whole thing.
Okay. I can't remember. Yeah. So yeah, this is the first year fruit. Exciting.
Oh, are those the Seckel pears?
They're definitely pears. Bartlett.
Oh, the red Bartletts.
Mm.
Yeah. We got a lot. So pretty much every day or every couple days, my husband will take his truck to work, fill up these bins of water, and bring them home.
Okay.
So he's been doing that for the past 3-4 years now. And I would be lying if I didn't say it's getting real old. You know, it's hard. So we're hoping to get, we're hoping to find a solution, get another well or something. So here's our potbelly pigs. They're our pets. Let me see if I can give them something to eat. Just a sec.
So as you're doing that, just for the students that are going to be viewing this, you know, you had a great tour of, you know, your different growing areas and gardens. Why was the animal husbandry really important as part of your farm and homestead?
These are just dirt scraps. We just do our food scraps in a bag. Usually every day, I'll dump them. You can see it. Usually every day we'll come out and dump it for them. We do feed them twice a day also, so they're kind of bigger than they should be.
How many do you have?
So right now we just have 2 pot bellies, but we used to have hogs. So we had probably, at one point we had like 17 hogs, but they were just too much. So we just got these guys. These are our pets. Actually, they were donated to us. Penelope, we got her when she was only 6 weeks old. Somebody couldn't handle her. They thought it would be a nice indoor pet. And then they decided that was a bad idea. So we got Penelope, and they're very, very friendly, very sweet. They'll let you rub their belly. Of course, I'm too short to grab her, to touch her right now. And then Raider, he's fixed, so they can't have babies, but she used to escape all the time. Actually, now she doesn't escape because Raider's here. We've had Raider for probably 2 years. and we've had her for about 3 years. So, so yeah, they're a lot of fun.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good in terms of their interactions with humans.
They're really sweet. In fact, I can go in. Now they're eating, so they're not going to let me rub their belly as much. But they're really friendly to kids. They're used to kids, so they're really sweet. And then up here is where we have our chicken coop and our rabbit coop and our goats. So come on up here. We just do quick, like easy watering for the pigs. I don't know if you can see that, but there's just like a little, spout for them to drink from. My husband built all these. He built all the fencing and all this. People will say, "Oh wow, you guys bought a farm," and I'll say, "No, we built a farm."
Built a farm.
So he built all these. Actually, it was leftovers that were left on the property. All this stuff was left on the property. So I'm just gonna give you a forewarning. It's a mess in here. When we had class regularly, we would clean it like 3 times a week. But
right on cue.
So we've got our rabbits. It's been kind of hot, so the girls put frozen water bottles in here. If it gets too hot, we'll put water bottles to cool them down. And these are our beet rabbits. Watch out, babe. Watch out. Ugh. Which we need to clean this. So this is why we need volunteers. So these are our breeding stock. Hi, sweet girl. Hi. So I'm going to take these because they've all melted. So we've got rabbits that we will breed, and then we'll use them for meat. We have our chickens. These are kind of nice. My husband decided his idea was to make little turf. So what you can do is, come here, sweet girl. Obviously, we need to clean this, but the idea is you take this off and we can reuse the poop on here, and then we wipe it down. We come and collect the eggs in the morning, but it looks like my children have not done their chores this morning, which is not a surprise.
How many eggs per week do your hens lay?
Oh,
Total.
I would say per day we get at least 20.
Okay.
So yeah, per week you're looking at over 100 eggs.
Okay.
Yeah, my girl. So we just fill this. We have a little watering thing. I'm gonna have my kids come and do these chores in a minute, but we got a rabbit in here, chickens in here. We used to have them be more free, but they kept getting into the garden. And furthermore, we had in 1 month, we had 25 chickens taken from hawks and from coyotes, or like they would just be vanish. So for their own safety, there's just too many predators out here. We just decided.
Do you see quite a few hawks nesting on the property, or they're just kind of soaring above head that you
Oh, both. Yeah, they're on the lookout.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we got our goats in here. We used to have sheep and dairy cow up here with them. This was the milking stanchion. So I used to milk my dairy cow twice a day, and then I went down to once a day. Come on over. And that's Chocolate. She's our favorite. She's very friendly. Chocolate, we had to pretty much milk her on her own. She wouldn't bond with her mother when she was first born. So she's become friendly. They're all
this Chocolate.
She is about about 2.
Okay.
So these are all our breeding stocks, except for the babies. We got 2 twins over here, or a set of twins. These little guys right here. So these are, hate to say it, but they're meat. So we haven't given them any names. I haven't. My children probably have, which they always do. But yeah, these will be, we have our breeding stock, and then we have ones for harvesting. So, and so when they're born, we tag them, vaccinate them, and let them bond with their mom for about a week and alone, and then they go out with the rest of the herd.
And do you use the goats to like clear areas or?
Yeah, so thankfully they clear all of our hillside. You know, if we did not have them, that would be really bad for you know, potential fire. So they clear a lot of it. So yeah, we use it for that. Use them for that for sure. And then their poop, we gather the poop. We use it for compost, the rabbit poop and the goat poop. It's really good for harvesting or for composting.
What and this is for you and Michael. You know, I have studied and, you know, and experienced different types of compost. Between goat and rabbit, what is the preference? What would be the advantage of goat versus rabbit? And then just talk about, and this is my personal opinion, about goat being superior to chicken compost. And I know some people don't feel that way, but I just love to hear your thoughts about it as part of your animal husbandry.
I'm in the shade.
Sure.
I'm in the shade while we talk. So I know that the rabbit poop has less nitrogen. I know a lot of people feel that you can just put it directly on your garden, but Michael tells me not to do that most of the time. I don't know necessarily if one is more superior than the other. I know when we do composting, he likes to get the horse, or we've used the donkey manure. We just recently sold our donkey, so we had a lot of donkey manure. But they're all really good. They're all really good. It's just the timing of how long it takes to break down. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what you're trying to do. Like you're saying, you can maybe apply rabbit manure directly to like the, you know, to the rows or whatever, or to, you know, your perennials or something. But like she's saying, I don't really like to do that because it's not, you know, it's not sterilized for one thing, but also not that you really actually sterilize compost, but you kill off the bad, like the pathogens.
Right.
What I prefer is actually a diversity of manure if I can get it. So
Okay.
we'll bring in horse poop. We'll use the goat manure. We'll use the rabbit manure, and we'll use the chicken manure, and that becomes our an ingredient for like our recipe for our compost piles that we're trying to get thermophilic, because the high nitrogen in the manure raises
Right.
the temperature. So, but what's nice about the reason why you want to get diversity is because each of them are going to have a diversity of microbes, and they're going to have also different foods for microbes. And so it's going to create more diversity. Everything in nature is about diversity. So there's resilience in diversity, there's nutrient cycling, all that kind of stuff. So I like to get basically a blend of as many things as I can, not one type of material if possible.
Cool.
But if I had to pick just one, it would be probably horse.
Yeah.
Really? What? Just I'm just curious. Why horse?
Well, for one, it's a lot easier to collect.
Okay.
You know, like that's like one of the things that's super easy. Like you can take a shovel and you'll have enough of it. You know,
Right.
But the other thing is that it's high nitrogen, so it's a good source to like raise the temperature of the piles.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
I was gonna say, and as far as just raising animals, it depends. Like the goats definitely have way more personality. They're kind of like a dog, I feel like. They love you, they want you, they'll come near you when you call them. Like they've been a lot easier, although they sometimes like to get out. They like to, they're always looking at the greener grass on the other side of the fence. But we had sheep, and sheep are more, they keep to themselves. They're not as friendly. They're harder to handle, and they're heavier. So if you want to wrangle them, if you need them to go somewhere, they're really heavy. So for a small farm, goats are way easier, in my opinion, than sheep. And then as far as a cow, horse obviously is going to be more maintenance, but a cow are very big. And so, you definitely have to be good at separating them. We've had a lot of injuries. Our cow is injured. That's one of the reasons we had to get rid of her, was she'd injured the goat, she'd injured the donkey, and not on purpose, just trying to get food, and then just nudging them out of the way with her head. So goats are my favorite. And obviously the pigs are one of our favorites too. We actually don't use the pig compost, Michael. I forget. We always forget to use the pig compost. And the funny thing about the pigs is you can see they will go to the bathroom in their bathroom. Like they have a bathroom. You'll see there's a poop area for the pigs. They're very, very clever. So it's funny that we haven't used the pig's poop.
I mean, do you guys clean the pig's poop? Because I've never even seen you guys clean it.
We don't, because they put it in an area. They have a little poop area, like a bathroom. So all their poop is over here, or it looks like their new area is down there. So I don't know if you want to get closer or whatever, but they have like their own bathroom. Let me show you. Shut this. Get out. They're really smart. We took it down these trees, and we just haven't been able to get them. Anyway, so you can see that's their bathroom right there. They know that's where they poop.
Interesting.
So if we wanted, we could just harvest that poop right there.
Right.
Hey there. What's this document?
All right, so we'll go across the street. As you can see, they've made all their own little paths too, and they've killed our trees. They've eaten all the roots. But we still love them. All right. All right, so let's go across the street.
Is Kimmy still there?
I think so. Yes, she is.
Okay.
So along this hillside, we're calling it our orchard. We planted about 30 trees along the hillside, fruit trees that are all manually or watered by We have a little drip system. So I don't know if you can see them. About close to half of them honestly have died. And I'm okay with that because it's kind of survival of the fittest, when it comes to trees. So we had a bunch, avocado trees did not make it. I don't know if you want to walk over there or not.
Go on.
Okay. We'll just look down the row so you can kind of see what we decided to do here on the hillside.
How long ago did you guys put those in again, Misty? Like 3 years ago?
It was 3 years ago, yeah. So we want to replace the dead ones.
Have they ever fruited?
Yeah, I think there is some fruiting down here. They were teeny ones though from Home Depot, and that's the difference. The trees up there, Michael got from a nursery, and then these guys we just got from Home Depot. So they take a lot longer to fruit.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
I think these are like avocado trees that died. But we just basically.
So were all the avocado trees from Home Depot, or did you get some avocados from the nursery as well?
No, they're all Home Depot.
Okay.
So we have a pomegranate, a couple pomegranates. This one you gotta watch your step because we haven't gotten like a nice trail. So he's walking. Some pomegranates, some apples, some citrus trees. I don't know if you can hear me still. Woo, it's getting warm up here. This one's done pretty good. But isn't that crazy, the size of it? This was 3 years ago we planted this versus the nursery one up there.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Tiny. So watch your step. So it looks like we got some fruit on this one.
I think I did apply an extract to this year, so they may be more likely to fruit. We also decided to do some boomerang berms, which will hopefully catch water next year. So so basically like these were already planted when I came there, and then I'm just trying to kind of like retrofit some things to improve it to actually get them to grow and actually produce.
Oh, we got a whole bunch. We got pieces on this one.
So the boomerang berms, they kind of look like a boomerang around the base, and they are meant to capture water and let it sink into the root.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we got some fruit. It looks like. So we put the netting to protect them from the deer. But yeah, we got some stuff going on here. We also have like all the nut trees. Yeah, so we were just trying to think of a way to use this hillside. And we thought, okay, well, we can put some trees on it. So that's pretty much it. All these trees are actually bitter almonds. They're not edible. So Michael had an idea of grafting some edible almonds or edible nuts onto them, which I thought was a great idea.
Or peaches and cherries, things like that. They're the same species, like same genus as like peaches, things like that, prunus. So you can graft fruit onto it or almonds.
Okay, so we'll cut back down. So yeah, I'm trying to count how many survived here. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I was looking, that's your other garden down there, right?
Yes. Yeah, so over here I'll show you. We'll get closer. The road is probably a better view. Yeah, we got probably about 16 that survived. Maybe planted about 30. So a little more than half. Yeah, so there's Kimmy in the garden. A lot of fun. The kids actually planted these trees. We had class. And it was a lot of fun. All right, so our property goes, it's like kind of starts up here and it goes all the way down there. I won't take you along the whole area, but my husband, I will show you one little thing that he's connected for water. Here's some of the tanks that we use down here, and he just fills it using this with his truck. So he'll come and fill, this is kind of the fill area right here, and then he'll fill it up there. But eventually we're gonna go under the road so that it'll all just gravity feed down here as well. So, okay, so we can go back over here. So our dream is to have this be a big community for like everyone. I mean, a garden for to bring the community together, you know, and it's just hard when that's your dream, but it's, you know, hard getting volunteers, it's hard getting the funding, it's hard getting the water and all the resources that you need. So here's a chicken coop. This is the meat chickens. We were using them for meat chickens, but we ended up harvesting quite a lot of the meat chickens. So we do have a lot of egg-laying chickens in here. Hi. Hey, I was just getting the garlic. Thank you. You dying of heat? No, it's okay. So this is one of our coops. So we you come in here and collect the eggs in the morning. But again, my kids have not done that, so I'll just stick them up here. But just another area. I don't know if they can even see in here. It's pretty dark. So like this one was sitting on like 4. So we use a lot of this poop in here. We'll take it and gather it. So Kimmy harvested some garlic. Oh yeah, they look great. Which is perfect because we ran out of garlic.
Hi, Kimmy.
All right, I'm going to join them. Michael said hi. Oh, hi, Michael.
Hi.
He's on there. You can hear his voice. Okay, so this is one of our shipping containers. Oh, I forgot to show you the other one up there. Oh, well. This is just kind of our storage area. We've got food in here for the chickens. I should say food for the mice. This is our worm compost. We try to feed them I'm getting really bad at feeding them, but I think ideally you're supposed to feed them every couple weeks, right? Couple weeks. During winter, a lot slower, but you can see It looks really good. We got a
How
bunch of
are
worms.
the worms in your worm bin, worm farm? How are they dealing with the heat? Even though I see that they're in the container, obviously away from the direct heat, but you know, how have they been impacted by weather or not?
I think they're okay. Of course, I've been really bad at checking on them. Let's take a look.
Yeah, I would say they're affected minimally. Like even as she's in there right now, I'm sure the soil feels pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Uh-huh. And the nice thing is that like, and that's why we actually cover it with like that straw too, is to
Yeah,
kind of
they're
insulate it
lovely.
a little bit. But yeah, that's looking really good.
That's
And
great. That's really
There you
great.
go. Looks
yeah,
like they're over on this side
that
eating.
again is where I like diversity of food, you know, so I'll put all kinds of different foods in there to create more different types of microbes.
Yeah.
Like that, some of that stuff she's looking at right now, actually, that's even like blocks that people use to grow mushrooms, and so that'll add fungi into that system. And then I'll look at it under a microscope and make sure it doesn't have any
Yeah, they're
pathogens because it is cold composting, but it goes through the digestive system of the worm, so that helps. And I'll look at it under a microscope and make sure that it's got all the stuff we want.
So in addition to the teas that you make, do you ever apply the castings directly to your growing area, or do you apply the worms directly to your growing area?
The castings is what we're after. The worms, you know, they're a valuable source to keep in the bin, but I will make extracts and teas with the worm castings as well, because, you know, it's only a little bit that you have, you know, as opposed to when you go and you do like a big batch of compost, you only have a little bit of the castings. And so to maximize its usage, I'll either make an extract or a tea.
Sure.
We'll
so
also add it to our soil blend too, like our blends that we use to grow stuff like in the greenhouse, like our nursery.
like Michael, I've been collecting this is just like the worm pee, basically the worm juice.
Yeah, so that stuff I don't use. That stuff, just discard that.
Dump it? Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know if you wanted it. Okay.
No, it's anaerobic, and so we don't want to use anything anaerobic. We don't want to introduce anaerobic stuff into the systems. You got to think of it kind of like other anaerobic fermentations would be like vinegars, alcohols, and things like that. And so applying that to like roots will dissolve the roots.
Okay. So this is the mushroom cap mulch that he got.
Is it still hot?
Yeah, it's like 80.
Mm-hmm.
So, am I supposed to be watering this?
No, it's okay.
Okay. So yeah, it's all just. Do you want to explain what that is?
So that's spent substrate from what is the name of that farm? It's I think it's no, it's not Fantastic Fungi. There's a I can't remember the name of them. Far West Fungi. So Far West Fungi, they're down in Watsonville. They grow organic like oyster mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, and a couple of different other ones I can't think of off the bat. But anyway, so once they have like they grow it in wood shavings, and once it's done and they've grown the mushrooms, then they have these like blocks of mushroom substrate left, and so that's got tons of mycelium, and so I go down there and get it and then bring it back, and that's like how we're able to introduce mushrooms into our system.
So we made compost, what, about 3 months ago?
In March, yeah.
And so this is the compost that we had made. So it's probably ready to go on, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I like to use it more again for extracts and teas, but at this point, like, yeah, you guys can just apply it to the rows. Is that mushrooms in there? Did it grow any mushrooms? Do you know?
No, I haven't seen any.
Okay.
So this is the one that we put together. We had like a recipe and we did it. We got it heated up to 165 degrees and then churned it, and then 165 degrees again, churned it. I think 3 times we churned it, right? And then
Yeah, we
and then
turned it twice.
something like that. So yeah, that we can apply to our garden. Here's our greenhouse. I've taken a lot out of the greenhouse because it's being just roasted by the sun. But I'll show you some poop areas that we collect. So we've got some poop here. That's the rabbit poop. We got some poop over here, some just different piles of that's donkey over there. And actually this soil is really good. This has all just been runoff from the donkey. We had the donkey down here for a long time, and I used some of this dirt the other day, and it was awesome just from the poop sitting on it. So this used to be where we had the pigs, all of our hogs. We flattened it out. We're making a pond. We're trying to get a pond with frogs because we heard that the frogs will help with all the pests. So we're going to be getting a little pond, and it also just help make it a little more moist down here. So we're probably going to be building a little woofer or some sort of house down here for help. So here's our greenhouse. It is not much of a sight to see right now, but I just emptied a lot of stuff out of here. But you can feel the heat coming out of there. It just boiled. It just killed everything. We keep our compost stuff there, or excuse me, our soil in these bins. So try to keep them moist. We'll just collect. He does the worm bins with a little bit of, I've been adding even beetle. It's like beetle scat, beetle poop, a little bit of that. And what is this called again, Michael? This white?
Sorry, perlite.
Perlite.
That's for drainage.
Okay. So yeah, here's a lot of the annuals on this side. We got obviously we got some grapes coming in. We got our grapevines. This is all of our lettuce area, but we've just let it go, as you can see. But this was our mustard, and we had arugula, a lot of different spring mix lettuces. But we just had such a hard time with the heat, the lack of water. These are all annuals like sage. What kind of sage is this one, Michael?
That one is purple culinary sage, but the one before it, you should have him smell the pineapple sage, the first one there by the greenhouse. The really nice dark green one.
You know, we're growing a bunch of pineapple sage. Michael just picked some the other day.
Okay. So he knows then.
It smells so good.
Yeah.
Did you smell the pineapple sage? Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Then we have a fig tree. We're getting some figs. This is the second year. We've had this for a year. So, so as you can see, everything is like super overgrown. But we have rows. If you come over here, you can see the rows that we've done. He's tried to plant. This is all, what do you call it? The cover crop?
Oh yeah, some sort of a ground cover. It's
yeah, this area is taken off, but it just didn't really take. This is our annuals area, our native area. But we did all this by hand. Everything that you've seen that we've built or made has all been by hand. No heavy machinery, just by our back and sweat of our brow. So kind of proud of that. So So we've got, so many. We've got like different areas like Brassica area. We've got all the, now I'm getting hot in my brain. Starting to go.
We got natives.
Yeah, the natives are over there. I have a map. So back to the original question was whether or not we had planned it. We have planned it, and we planned the rows, and we tried to plant annuals accordingly to the plan. I know one of the questions was, I'll answer a couple questions while I'm out here, whether or not we had farmed before. We had no farm experience before we came here. So we've just been learning as we go. YouTube, a lot of YouTube. And when you're teaching kids, you got to learn real quick because they ask a lot of questions. We just knew that we wanted to be self-sustainable, that we wanted to be self-reliant and teach our kids how to grow their own food and grow their own build their own house and a lot of those things. And so some of the challenges that we've had have been water. I think that's probably the biggest challenge we've had is water and not having as much help for harvesting and for planting, and not having a vet. So I'm the vet, we're like not very close. We're like 2 minutes from downtown, and out here there's not a lot of other, it looks like there's a bunch of ranchers, but this is it. There's just not a lot of resources for vets. There's small animal vets, but not large animal vets. So I would just say, be aware if you do get animals that you'll either be the vet. So you can't be squeamish. I was a little bit, but I'm not anymore. I've had to do some things that I was surprised to have done. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'm trying to remember some of the questions.
So let me help you out. One thing is, what do you think was the biggest? You answered the question about kind of why you guys got started. What was the biggest challenge for you starting animal husbandry in particular, but the homestead in general?
Just the biggest challenge, probably just having help. We got a lot of help here and there, and it's been amazing. And I find that we're really motivated when we have help, and the farm does great when we have help. And then on these, we're on this cycle right now of like the downward, where we don't have a lot of help. Summer's picked up, and even when we were first starting, we started in the summer, and there wasn't a lot of help. And so that's the thing, is you imagine everybody just knocking down your door to like help you garden, and hey, we're starting a garden, we're starting a community, we got these animals, don't you want to learn? And nobody's knocking on your door. They're like, oh, that's cool. Well, we're going to Disneyland, so we'll see you. You're just like, oh. Right. So that has been a challenge, is the mentality of people. There's not a lot of people that think the same, or they think it, but they don't actually act. They don't actually come and help. It's on their to-do list, so that's been the biggest challenge, is having help. And it stinks to start a farm or start a homestead to be self-reliant, but also needing people's help. It's like this weird thing. You realize you can't do it on your own. I learned, just like animals, we're a herd, we need each other for survival. So I've had to learn real quick that I need people and we need each other. And caring for animals is not that easy. There's been a lot of sicknesses, there's deaths, there's a lot of things that happen. I have to shear, like with the goats, you got to shear them every year. That was a big chore. You got to clip their hooves. That's a big chore. Making sure they get vaccinated, making sure they're healthy. Right? The sheep, what did I say? The goats?
Yeah.
Okay. Shearing the sheep. But then it's fun because you have the wool, but let me tell you, nobody wants the wool. We haven't done much with it. So it's just a hard balance. So we've had to just kind of to learn we can't do everything. The other thing I will say, the biggest challenge was getting way too much to begin with, like way too many animals, because we're excited. Like way more than you can care for, you know, and suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, like they start you know, reproducing. Suddenly, you know, I got like we have three hogs. 2 of them are pregnant. They each have a litter of 12. I mean, imagine overnight you went from 3 hogs to like so many, you know, like 30 hogs, and you're going, oh my gosh. And they're screaming and they're running everywhere, and they're fun when they're little, and then they get big, and then it becomes, oh boy, what are we gonna do with all these guys? Same with rabbits, you know, they'll have a litter of like 10 within 30 days. They'll reproduce. Their gestation cycle is only 30 days. So 30 days, I've got 2 breeding stock. They've got between 10 and 12 litters, you know, each. We got all these rabbits, you know,
Right.
So just having a plan and making it fun whenever it is harvesting time, whenever it is compost time, we try to make it a big deal. Like, okay, this Saturday we're harvesting chickens. If anybody wants to come and volunteer, if you've never done that, you make it appealing, then people will come and you have the help that you need. Or we're composting today. If you've ever learned, you know, wanted to learn about composting, we'll teach you XYZ, come. And so that's been fun to just make it appealing to people to come and volunteer. So, and we also have bees. So I'll walk you. We just got the bees about 3-4 months ago. We'll walk down here.
Are you all the beekeepers, or do you have somebody
We are.
that comes in? Okay.
Nope, we're the beekeepers. My husband, he has the white outfit that he puts on. Actually, I need to give these
Are those
guys
grapes
a
on?
bottle.
Are there grapes on those grapes right now? To your right?
I do see some, yes. Yep, there they are.
Nice.
We also have, so there's grapes. I mean, there's tomatoes going. We've got tons of mint. All of these right here are beans. What kind of beans are they, Michael?
They fava
Fava beans?
beans?
Correct. Yep.
Looks
fava.
like fava beans, yeah.
See the bees.
Look at all the bees. Yeah, that's awesome. We decided to get bees because we grew sunflowers one year and there was no nut in the seeds. So we decided we need some bees down here.
So are the role of the bees, you know, on the farm, are they more just about pollination, or are you harvesting honey or honey
Both.
products?
Yeah,
Okay.
both. So we put them to work, and then they do produce honey for us. So
Tomatoes. Okay.
they're awesome. Yeah, we got a bunch of berries down here, blackberries. This area over here was a melon. We had a bunch of melon last year. So we just really need to plant stuff, but I don't want to get anything in the ground this hot. There's our bees right there.
How many hives?
We just have one colony.
Okay.
We're gonna get a second though. We're ordering another box because they're just out of control. There's like so many in there. So it would be awesome to just have a whole hillside of honey bees. So yeah, they're really.
So Misty, talk to me for a minute. You know, you were talking about the challenges, you know, of plan and design, and you were specifically talking about, just gave a great example of what happened with the hogs and the rabbits. You know, I'm assuming, based on what you were sharing, that when you and Michael started, that you didn't put a lot of attention into the design of the farm, particularly around the animal husbandry part.
Yeah. So obviously you got a cow, a dairy cow, you got to milk. I milked that cow on my due date even.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was milking her every single day. I get up early in the morning. So that was quite a challenge, but I really enjoyed it. So just anything you commit to buying and having, you know, on your property, you gotta take care of them. And so the challenge was obviously milking her, making sure the other animals were safe because she would injure the other animals.
So if somebody was going to get started and they were going to include animals, even small animals, before you get to the dairy cow, you know, or things like horses, but you were just going to include small animals, you know, chickens, rabbits, and maybe goats. What would be your best advice to give to someone?
The chickens are super easy. I would say chickens are easy peasy. Rabbits are pretty easy as well. Those are probably the easiest farm livestock you could own. I would say we've had 3. We have 2 females and like 1 male for all of our breeding stock. Anytime we're doing goats or pigs or rabbits, we tend to have 2 females, 1 male. So that's been helpful. That way, if one of them's injured or one of them's not producing, then you have your backup. Let's see. The donkey is really good at fending off any coyotes or anything like that. But again, and actually, if you want some sort of equine animal, the donkeys are the way to go because they literally don't. I mean, we feed them and water them every day, but they can survive off hay. They can go 3 days without water. Not that you're going to do this, but they're used to living in the sticks. I mean, living off of twigs and just nothing, you know, that's what they're bred for, is just they can survive harsh conditions. So they're a lot easier than horses. And they fend off, they help protect your herd. So they fend off, you know,
Okay.
predators. The pig.
About predators, just to follow up on that. About predators, you talked earlier about the coyote and the hawks. What about raccoons?
We got bobcats, we got raccoons, and gophers.
Any mountain
We got
lions?
brown squirrels. Those suckers are crazy. They'll eat your whole. They've been eating our whole. Yeah. Our whole.
What about the occasional mountain lion sighting?
We don't have those here. So just depending on where you live, you know. Luckily, we don't have that. We actually don't have deer as a problem. Deer can be a real problem too, eating all your trees, all the fruit.
Lots of turkeys.
Turkeys, yeah.
But they haven't really seemed to cause any problems somehow.
Yeah, the turkeys are fine. Where do you want to get down here?
And no wild boar?
No what? No.
No wild boar?
Yeah, occasionally there is some on the hillside. We haven't had any issues, but our neighbors have.
Okay.
Yep. And yes, I'm supposed to notify my neighbors when I see them because they are all cattle farmers, you know, so they got, I think, over 60 head or more of cattle. And yeah, so that's a big problem. There's one of them now, is the wild hogs. I think one of them, there was a calf that I think it took down, or maybe it was the coyotes, but they have the calves all around, and the coyotes will take down a baby calf.
Yeah.
Again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was sad. But we luckily haven't had problems. Besides, raccoons are probably our biggest issue. They will take down our chickens at night. They'll scratch them up. They had one chicken. I think the whole side of it was just open, big old wound, you know, just,
Yeah.
they will do some damage. They have these little fingers, you know. So we try to protect them as much as we can. Let's see, what else? So yeah, the vision for this farm is to be able to grow enough that we could have some sort of hillside farm stand up here. That's pretty much it.
Well,
There's our
we got about 15 minutes. Let me ask you this. I'm glad you were talking about that vision. The question I would say, you know, we've talked about obviously a lot of the challenges and everything. What do you feel, you know, for you and your family has been the biggest benefit?
The biggest benefit to owning a farm is just it teaches them, even if the kids, a lot of people will say, oh, wow, you've got kids that I've always wanted kids that can be raised on a farm and get them to do chores. We honestly have to pretty much force them to do it a lot of the time. And so sometimes I feel like they're not getting that benefit, but they do watch us. And I've been shocked at how much pride they have in us. Like when I hear them talking about us to people, they just have a lot of pride in their animals and the work that we do. And it just has shown them a lot of selflessness, I feel like, and sacrifice that we make. It's taught them how to care for animals and really have compassion for animals. Even though sometimes, there's a big difference between pets and livestock, farm animals, as far as how you're caring for them. Because the pet, you're going to be grooming it all the time. And, unless you're, a 4-H kid raising a pig, they have to have all this clean, everything sparkling clean, but it gets dirty and crazy out here. And, but the kids, I think, has been the biggest thing that I'm proud of is they're real resilient. They've seen how animals reproduce. They've seen animals die. They've had to experience death. They've experienced how to, we harvest animals. We allow them to watch. At first, I used to feel like that wasn't a good thing. But actually, they are very curious about the animals and the parts. And we use it as a learning tool whenever we're harvesting. We talk about the organs. It's not something to fear, and so we have taught them to treat animals humanely, and that I think everybody needs to know that where meat comes from, and so that's been really interesting to teach kids. Surprisingly, they don't understand where their meat comes from and I feel like everybody needs to witness that. If you're going to eat meat, you have to be kind of willing to see what goes into it and be a part of that and own that responsibility. So that's been really neat for my kids to be a part of. I've learned so much. I've learned how many hard things I can do. I've been pregnant multiple times, and now being pregnant, it's hard, it's really hard. And it's given me a lot of appreciation for like my grandparents, for my ancestors, because I've told Michael, well, I don't have to actually use the produce from my garden. Thankfully, I can go down to Safeway. And so if I'm too sick or if we don't have, enough manpower to harvest or to plant that season, it's okay. It's not, our survival doesn't rely on it. And so that's given me so much appreciation. And the community that we've built, is absolutely my favorite community, for sure. Everybody's so giving and so selfless. The woofers that we have met, there's definitely been some interesting ones, but Michael, even just meeting him, he was a woofer 2 years ago. And that's how we met him over 2 years ago, something like that. But you know, he's somebody that he stayed at my house. I have him watch my house. I have him, you know, help. You know, these people are a part of my children's lives. They've watched my dad for me, you know, just people that I trust. And that is a special community. And I feel like the farming community is a very unique, special community. And I'm super grateful to be a part of that. And it makes me excited for even the future to continue to be a part of that. My husband, it's been great for him because it puts him to work, which is sometimes exhausting, but there's always something to do, you know, and so it's just finding that balance. How much work is too much work? So that is always changing. There'll be some seasons where I'm like, you know, something very simple is just too much work. Watering the greenhouse this season for me is just too much work. And I have my daughter doing it and she just did a terrible job and everything's like, Dad. And I'm going, okay. You know, I've learned it's okay to fail. It's okay to forgive yourself. And plants are resilient. Animals are resilient. Children are resilient. I've just learned that more on the farm. And what else? Just so much. I love harvesting.
You were
and
talking
being
about
able to
resiliency. I want to pick up on something you said about resiliency. You know, resiliency from both a practical, humanitarian, and ecological perspective is a huge principle woven into the fiber of agroecology. And as you've began really looking at agroecology and agroecological principles, how does not only resiliency play into what you were just talking about, but your just thoughts about agroecology for you as a farmer, a rancher, a homesteader, particularly, you know, you shared some really powerful things about your relationship to animals and your thoughts about meat and processing, but just about agroecology in general. How does that jive with what you and your family have built and are building?
I mean, I think I love learning more about agroecology. I love learning. I think I was telling Mike, like, it's not a privilege. I feel like, I mean, some people are privileged with it. We are just blessed that luckily we had bought a property. By the way, this is my husband. It took us like 5 years to get that 4x4. It was after all the work that we did on the farm that we finally got that 4x4. We could have used it, but I kept saying, no, we're not going to get it. It was so funny. We actually got it.
Bless. Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, as far as agroecology, I just feel like it's a huge blessing, and it's a privilege not to really take for granted, and something that, so honestly, we've been going through a lot of challenges lately, you know, just physically, without a lot of help, you know, honestly, with my being pregnant this last time, I've been very sick. And people will say, you know, I have family members that will say, oh gosh, you guys could sell that property, you could move, and yada, yada, yada. You know, why do you put yourself through all that work? You choose this life, you know, you choose to have all these kids, you choose to have all these animals and this crops, and you know, my sisters are all going on vacation every couple months to Hawaii and all this, and I'm like, you're right. And so I've kind of gone through it this year. We've had arguments with the neighbors, we've had issues with water. I mean, literally, it's like every couple weeks there's some major disaster, and it's hard work. And like I said, it makes me think of my ancestors. And there was a moment a couple weeks ago where I thought, you know, why am I even doing this? This is ridiculous. I don't need the food. I could go to the grocery store. And so you really have to dig deep try to figure out why you're doing it. You know, why is it so important? And thank you. Thank you. And so that's been something I've had to, kind of go back to over and over, is remember my mission, remember my purpose, remember why I'm doing it. And it's because I'm just so passionate about it. And I feel like the saying goes, anything worth doing, it's hard work. Nothing you do easy is kind of worth it, And so I just feel like doing hard things shapes our character, and it just shapes who we are. And we are different, but we always say, if we want to live like nobody else, we do have to live like nobody else. And we choose to live differently than everybody else. And to be able to fight for it, you got to be able to fight for it, because I could see how easily people, especially in agroecology, if somebody's selling off their land and saying, hey, I'll offer you 20 grand, for your property. You won't have to work this land anymore. Maybe it'll be easier. I'll take it off your back, or a large sum of money. I could see how that could be appealing to people, but there's so many roots that people build with agroecology and farming that they run so deep that it's painful to cut those roots, and it's, and I'm just kind of going off on a tangent, but I guess all that to say is I'm super grateful for the opportunity that we have. We weren't raised farming. Our parents didn't give us any money or this land. We've had to work really, really hard. And just by the grace of God, we were able to get our first property for really cheap. My husband's a contractor. He fixed it up and we were able to sell it. We got this property for cheap and just kept fixing it up. And I'm not going to just sell it just to make some bucks. We're forming roots. And I think that's what agroecology is just the roots and the connections with the community, and not letting them be severed no matter what, that there's things that you can't put a price on. And that's what I've learned. And like I said, it's hard to remember sometimes when it's hard, when you don't want to do it. So I don't know if that helps.
No, very, very helpful, and understandable. And I think it's important for me that for, our students and other emerging farmers to get that insight, and I think it's great, you're touring the land, you talk about the great benefits, ups and downs, and the challenges. And I think oftentimes, whether you are a full-fledged farmer or you're just a aspiring agroecologist that's just really trying to integrate those principles, even a backyard or an urban gardener, a lot of times we can romanticize things. But when you have to really get out on the land, I had a colleague of mine that used to run the Boston Food Project, and several acres, and they were working with a lot of young people that were in foster care and different things and emancipated. And you could talk about all the great lessons. And he said, but there were times when he had to just say to the kids, well, today, we're going to be harvesting, or today we're going to be weeding. And, it's not the fun stuff, it's not the, it's not the petting of the chickens or the goats. It's, it's hands in the soil, sometimes under tough weather conditions, and then exactly what you were talking about earlier, what happens if, you're having financial challenges, whether it's, grant problems or just bankers or whatever, you got to still deal with that. And it's all part of, the ecological landscape of what we have to do. So I really appreciate your honesty, as well as your insights, Michael's insights too, in terms of just some of the technical aspects, of how do you engage. So this has been wonderful. I actually just got an email, Michael Jones, that I guess some of the folks could not get on the link, but it's great that we've recorded it. And so we'll send this to make sure that the students in the other cohort can all make sure they have it. And so I'm just so appreciative of you all and everything that you've done this morning. For you or Michael, do you all have any final thoughts that you might want to share? One last question I have for both of you. If somebody was local or even not local, but they wanted to become a woofer, if they wanted to be a volunteer, how could they get in touch with you? Obviously, we know we can get in touch with you by class, but what should they do?
Yeah.
What's that process?
So Oak Hill Family Ranch, that's our name. We have a website. You can always email me, oakhillfamilyranch.com. And we aren't having any woofers right now long-term stay at the ranch, but every Saturday we have volunteers and any woofer can come on Saturday. We are local in Concord, off of Kirker Pass by the Concord Pavilion. I was just going to add a final closing thought, I guess. The thought that came to me, I didn't share, about the classes that we offered. The thing that made me a couple weeks ago realize how much I love ranching is I love Oak Hill Family Ranch. We built it just blood, sweat, and tears. And going through my website and pictures and things, it made me appreciate. We had really hard days on the ranch, and it's inspired me to write a little book about it, some miracles that have happened. But the kids on the ranch were able to witness actually death. We have class, and we had, a couple of deaths during class. And, like you said, you kind of fantasize about this ranch life, and people go, oh, I've always wanted a farm. And it's like, it isn't until that first winter where you're knee deep in mud, milking a cow who just got injured and cut and teat is bleeding. And then the donkey was injured by the cow's horn. So my donkey's got a hole in its side, it's just gushing blood. And I'm like knee deep, 6 months pregnant in mud. And I'm like, is this really happening to me right now? You got kids coming to class in 10 minutes, 30 kids coming to class, and my husband's got a full-time job. And it's like, it's hard. So you have to remember why you're doing it. And I remember, why we're teaching these children, the youth, the next generation, resiliency, and why it's so important. And if we can do hard things, they can do hard things. So that's just what the message I'm trying to share. So, but yeah, please contact me or Michael. Michael has his own nonprofit that's super awesome, and it's called Transformative Soil and Landscapes. And what they do is they go in and they will create a food forest for you in your backyard or your front yard. They really are passionate about making sure that everybody can grow their own food and have the opportunity. And their labor is all free. It's all donation based. So they're an awesome organization, nonprofit. So, and they're also on Facebook. They have a website, Transformative Soil and Landscapes.
.org.
.org. Okay, great.
Yep.
Right.
And we do have a Facebook too. We're not super active on it, but we will be. So it doesn't hurt to just like us on there. We're fairly new. We've only been around for like 3 or 4 months, and but we've done one project that was pretty darn big. Misty was there, and it was big. It was like a full acre food forest with like a huge native zone and all that. But we have 2 more we're doing right now. So the way that we are able to do our donated labor is we organize volunteer labor force. So we utilize volunteers. So if anybody feels like they want to volunteer, that's always an option too. And to reach me, you can also email me, which is michaelwedgley@gmail.com. And if anybody's watching this video, they can see my name up there, michaelwedgley@gmail.com.
Or message me if it's easier to remember my name, and I will get you to him.
Could you put that in the chat, Mike?
Yeah,
Michael? Thanks.
definitely. Oh, it's there.
Put your website in there too, Michael.
Gotcha.
Go through a lot of water.
I know. This isn't even the hottest day. It gets hot here.
Thank the Lord. Because I was worried about that.
So I was like, come early because you don't want to come later. Trust me.
All right. Well, this has been fantastic. Really thank you for your time. I'm so glad that this is being recorded because those students that couldn't get on, they will be able to see this. Misty, I just thank you and your husband, Michael, and Michael Wesley. I just thank you for being there, and obviously Mike Jones for making it all possible. This has been a wonderful morning, very informative, insightful. And again, appreciate you both and hope y'all have a wonderful day. And we'll be talking to you, probably talking to you both relatively soon.
All right. Thanks.
All right, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks again.
Thanks.
You too.
All right.
Bye.